The public defenders representing convicted killer Kimberly Kessler are now asking to question the trial jury based on a News4JAX interview with a juror following the verdict. Kessler is serving a life sentence for killing her Nassau County co-worker Jolene Cummings, who was reported missing in May of 2018 and whose body has never been found. After the verdict last December, News4JAX talked with one of the jurors who did not want to be identified, but spoke about why she believes the jury found Kessler guilty. Now the public defender's office is seeking a judge's permission to question all of the jurors under oath. News4JAX reporter Jim Piggott tells us where this motion will go from here.
I'm here out front of the public defender's office, and right now they can't talk about this because this case is still pending. And it may take a while before we learn if this is granted. But here's what we've learned from the motion. The public defender's office is very interested in what News4JAX reporter Scott Johnson talked about with a juror. In his report last December, Scott talked to the juror about how they reached the verdict. The juror talked about Kimberly Kessler's mental state and even mentioned the word crazy.
My thing was she was very clever to set out. She knew what she was doing. But it's like now she wants to say that she's crazy. She's not competent.
Jordan Beard is Jolene's cousin.
But during the trial, the jury never saw Kessler because she was removed from the courtroom for various outbursts that she would make before the jury would be brought into the courtroom. In the motion, the attorney writes, "None of the jurors selected for the panel indicated that they had any knowledge of Ms. Kessler's mental condition, or if they did, they agreed that they would set it aside and not allow it to influence their deliberations." The motion goes on to say, if the juror knew of the fact that Kessler's incompetency was an issue leading up to the trial, that should be a reason for a new trial. It also goes on to say the court should recall each juror for questioning. In Scott Johnson's interview, the juror talked about why some wanted to hear from Kessler herself.
Some of the jurors asked for her to be in there because they wanted to see what her response was, when the offense, the state people got up and everything. But, I guess it was very difficult because we didn't know what her emotions was at the time.
We reached out to LaToya Williams-Shelton, who is an attorney not associated with this case. She explains why this points to an important issue.
So now the defense counsel is saying, what was it that was talked about in that jury deliberation room? Were we talking about the evidence that was presented and whether or not Ms. Kessler was guilty? Or were we talking about, is she trying to use this, defense, this incompetency defense to get out of this? And I think that's important because it somewhat does show a bias because we should only be, or the jurors should only be looking at the evidence that was presented to them.
Now, the state attorney's office, which won this conviction, say they can't comment right now as well. And the judge has yet to rule on this. Jim Piggott, Channel 4, the local station.